Well, we're back again with yet another No Fluff analysis, and this time we're going to be talking about the Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase running from the 27th of January to the 31st of January UTC. Let's cut the fluff and get straight to it with the only adventurer added with the showcase, the 5-star Shadow Rapid Fire Manacaster Gala Chelle, the Passionate Princess. Gala Chelle's first skill is Splendido Dominio, dealing 2055% damage across 12 hits with up to 15 additional hits of 25% based on the number of buffs Chelle has, for a maximum of 2430%. This also inflicts Shadow Blight and is shareable for 5 skill share points. Gala Chelle's second skill is Burlone Gatto, which inflicts a 30% strength debuff with an additional 5% strength debuff against enemies in buff zones. Gala Chelle has the standard Manacaster Gauge Accelerator co-ability, and her Chain co-ability grants shadow units 8% poised Shadow Blighted Punisher, which is pretty specific. It's plus 8% damage against Shadow Blighted enemies while in a buff zone. Gala Chelle's first ability is Radiant Scion. Chelle always transforms into Cat She, and using Chelle's second skill grants her a stack of Royal Pride, a buff that stacks up to 10 times, and with each stack reduces Chelle's damage taken by 1%. Gala Chelle also has Princess's Grace, which is a fancy name for Full Blind and Paralysis Resist. Her final ability is Star of the Dance, increasing her full strike damage by 45%, scaling up to 75% based on the number of buffs Chelle has, capping at 15 buffs. When Chelle has 5 or more stacks of Royal Pride, she creates a buff zone around her that reduces damage taken by 10%. A note on her release page also states that Gala Chelle will reduce the enemy's mode gauge, think overdrive, more than other rapid fire Manacasters, so she'll be extra suited for overdrive shredding. Also note that Gala Chelle specifically cannot benefit from Hunter Cerise's Force Strike buff. Starting up a Force Strike dispels the buff, so it seems that Cygames deliberately wants to cap her Force Strike potential. Chelle's skills are interesting to consider. With a moderate SP cost on her S1 and a fairly sizable SP cost on her S2, you'll need to Force Strike for 7 seconds per S1 and about 19 seconds per S2, assuming the default 910 SP per second gain for a Rapid Fire Manacaster's Force Strike. While you'll likely use Chelle's S1 whenever it's available, her S2 has a bit of decision making. With what I've seen of Legend Cayenne, there are many points of the fight where you'll encounter large amounts of unavoidable damage and numerous stack markers. You'll have to balance building up to 5 stacks of Royal Pride as soon as possible, against getting value out of the strength debuffs to mitigate stack mechanics, arena-wide avoidable damage, and so on. With appropriate defensive support from a Cleo, a Grace, or a Patia, I suspect that it'll make it easier to simply hit S2 whenever it's available, but it's an interesting tidbit to note. Chelle's kit seems to be largely based around Force Strike damage, encouraging minimal movement to maximize Force Strike uptime. Pulling this off in the Legend Cayenne fight will evoke feelings of playing a Black Mage in Final Fantasy XIV. Being the best Gala Chelle will come down to learning the flow of the fight so you can pre-position for as many mechanics as possible in order to maximize turret time. Ultimately, Chelle's efficacy is going to come down to the player piloting her and how fight mechanics are handled. All the Force Strike damage in the world won't matter if you spend half the fight dashing around the arena to avoid mechanics. Much like Legend Volk, Legend Cayenne also possesses a Berserk phase, so Gala Chelle will be useful for enabling overdrive shred. Other subtle changes to mechanics such as Supreme Spears requiring hit counts to be removed instead of a hit point bar tempts me to use her S1 for instantly deleting these spears. Once Chelle's damage resistance zone is online, she'll be useful for mitigating stack markers, as well as being free to hold her S2 for mitigating mechanics. Overall, a well-piloted Gala Chelle will make the Legend Cayenne fight much easier. But, as the age-old wisdom says, every banner is bait, and this banner is no exception. Legend fight is definitely possible without Gala Chelle, and even using Gala Chelle will place more dispel burden on a Bellina or a Grace in the fight. With only 4 slots to a team, maintaining damage and utility is a delicate balancing act. Personally, I won't pull for Gala Chelle myself as I'm well equipped already, but if you're lacking a Patia, Bellina, Grace, or Gala Alex, characters I think will crack open the fight for you, Chelle might still be worth pulling for. However, simply having Chelle does not a Legend clear get. You'll need to have well-developed facilities on your Halidom, and you'll still need to practice the fight a good deal. Gala Chelle is not a crutch, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. Pull her for novelty, pull her for giant minigun. Is that an oxymoron? Pull hair because your roster lacks anything resembling the meta. I can't choose for you as I'm not your boss, but as always, thank you very much for watching until the end. Take it easy, stay safe, and I wish you luck in your upcoming polls.